Hi everyone, this is Ronnie, and over the last, 12 years, I've been documenting a little bit of my raw foods journey on this channel, eating a raw food diet, kind of mostly 100% raw food diet in Scotland here where I live. And I started a festival. I do a monthly dinner party here. Sorry, I'm just itching myself. Um, what else can I share with you? I've been all over the world really, learning from people, visiting 40 different raw vegan retreat festivals. We call them fruit festivals, but I don't know if that's the best word for it, but fruit festivals. And meeting a lot of the leaders in this movement and interviewing over 160 people. And I've accumulated a bit of experience with all this. Whether it's really great knowledge to have, I don't know. I tend to think it's one of the most important things to understand is your own health and the truth of humanity. Like, we're a frugivore, and I think everyone should totally understand that. It's a bit of a shame that we don't. I think our world going fruit based is the future, and it will make our world a better place. It'll make everything different and better, and probably change humanity in a very, very crazy and beautiful way. And and we'll see. And I look forward to having a long, healthy life. That's what I want. That's my dream. To have a long, healthy life and be a very old man one day, but still be active and fit and be able to have fully good conversations and not have dementia and Alzheimer's and all these things, and still be kind of youthful but an old man, have a youthfulness. That's really my dream of life. And to have loads of cool friends and a great family, and um, whether that's my own children or grandchildren or not, but like um, to have family, friendship, community, and all that stuff, and just be a really old, wise guy with a cool life and lots of cool people. So that's like my. I'm living right now, I guess, to maintain a great life throughout life, I think. And certainly by the end of my life, I'd like to be a very old man. I'd like to be the oldest man in the world. If I really share with you my dream, I'd like to be the oldest man in the world, or close to it. I'd like to be one of the old men of the world, and I'd like to be one of the old wise men of the world. You know, I don't know if I'll go to Mars. Maybe I could be the president of Mars, but I want to be an old wise man, just with a beautiful life. With lots of cool people. And I don't know if I ever, if I ever have a wife or soulmate or long term partner, will they live as long as me? I don't know. I It'd be nice, but I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't. So that's me sharing. I don't know why I shared that. Anyway, so the raw foods movement. I want to talk about this raw foods movement that I've been part of for a number of years, and where I'm thinking of it. What I'm thinking, because I do the fruit festival, and it's really made me think strongly about all this. I think that what people don't understand is running this fruit festival has really made me think really strongly about this about this whole scene, this whole community. Um, and what it is, and what was it when I got into it and everything. So I started off on YouTube seeing some raw fooders and kind of getting into it and trying things out. And pretty much very quickly I found Durian Rider, who talked about 80-10-10. And that was the time that I was getting into this. The Durian Rider was still a very prominent YouTuber in veganism and raw foods. And I went straight from vegetarian to raw foods pretty much. I didn't really have a vegan period. And I pretty much went to 8-10-10, the 30 Bananas a Day forum. The 30 Bananas a Day forum was a really important forum. Really important, big forum. At that point, the raw foods world had already sort of changed, I suppose, because there was a period prior to that where raw foods, I think, went through a bit of a phase. So the way that plant-based has went through a bit of a phase, a bit of a trend, I think the raw foods went through a bit of a trend in the late 90s, early 2000s perhaps, and superfoods became a thing, and goji berries and all these different products that were associated with the raw foods movement became a thing, and raw chocolate and raw food restaurants popped up, and there was excitement about raw foods. And the whole concept of raw foods is wrong, right? Because the whole concept of raw foods is the reason you're sick is because you cook your food. That's not the reason you're sick. Because you can have raw milk and raw butter and raw cheese, and that can cause all sorts of issues, heart disease, diabetes, all this. Like, it doesn't need to be cooked to be damaging. And at the same time, just because you cook something doesn't make it super bad for you either. So that point of raw foods and like you kill all the enzymes and that's what's wrong. That's not really what's wrong. Why raw foods are superior is because they are the foods that you don't need to cook. So they're the ones that are best adapted to our body. And yes, if you cook food, you usually get rid of things like vitamins, but very few of us have vitamin deficiency issues, so it's not really that big a deal. So the real reason to be raw is that all animals are raw because they eat the foods that they are best adapted to eat and don't require to cook them. And so when you have to cook a food, there might be something wrong with that food. If you cook it, you kind of don't make it any better. So that's kind of more the way I'd look at it. So, but raw foods went through its phase, and raw food restaurants popped up around the world. That raw foods movement has barely any people really active in it anymore, as far as I know. That particular thing, people like David Wolf were big. He was probably the biggest, most famous name in the US and probably over here as well, English speaking world. He was a big name. I don't know if there's anyone like that anymore, promoting like gourmet raw and that kind of stuff. I think that's kind of just died. Totally, like it's gone. Really, really gone. Like, and there was people, I think, even in where I live, they were kind of promoting that style and the David Wolf thing and all that. They're gone. They're gone, gone. So that left, but that scene had festivals. That did have festivals and events and stuff. Um, and at those events and in those groups, people like Doug Graham spoke and to some degree gained, some prominence or whatever, and gained a following with his ideas. And that led to him publishing the 8-10-10 diet, and a whole load of people who got reeled into raw foods and couldn't make it work figured out they could make it work if they did 80-10-10, which to some degree is a fruitarian diet with salad added to it. That's kind of, but no one was doing it with enough fruit. So people would try fruitarian diets but never eat enough fruit. And so they could never sustain it. They lost weight too much and all that stuff. Never felt good on it. Doug really, as far as I can see, Doug really figured something out and really put it down on paper. And he should always be sort of praised for that. I think he will be, more so maybe in the future at some point. Perhaps even when he passes away. His importance will be understood. When millions of people studied nutrition and he was the one person that sort of figured out the human diet properly. Because there was T.C. Fry and people before that maybe suggested something similar, but they didn't really figure it out. they hadn't really figured it out. And so Doug had found something that worked, made people feel great. People were getting great results. He had a whole bunch of followers. A number of them start getting on social media, and they create the kind of 80-10-10 movement. And a lot of them were happy to promote Doug and his work. And Harley and Freely were pretty much happy to support Doug and his work and mentioned Doug in many videos, especially Harley did, and mentioned the 80-10-10 diet book because Harley didn't have a book. So he was happy to recommend the book. And Harley always said he wanted to build the community. And I think that's an important thing. Harley always said it was about the community and building the community. And, I really believed that. I still believe that. I think Harley was almost never promoting anything in his own videos. I mean, he was making money from YouTube, but he could have easily just created some product or done a coaching program. Like, he was never promoting anything. Some of the festivals maybe he promoted, but he really wasn't promoting much, right? He was promoting other people. He was promoting Doug Graham, he promoted Dr. McDougall, he promoted vegan doctors. He had a big influence, Harley, through doing that. And he built a bit of a movement with a whole bunch of other people contributing to it. But that was the 30 bananas a day. And it was 80-10-10. But it was really more Harley Freely and a whole bunch of people that built that on a big scale. Online. The online side of it, I should say. That community led to the things like the Woodstock Fruit Festival, with Michael Arnstein becoming inspired by Harley and others, and by Doug Graham, of course, as well. But those people put together. Michael put together the Woodstock Festival with Yulia, and I believe I'm right in saying that the Woodstock Festival really got most of its early participants from 30 bananas a day. Ted Carr says that to me. Ted was at the first Woodstock. He said everyone was on 30 bananas a day. Everyone at Woodstock, the first Woodstock, was on 30 bananas a day. That's what Ted Carr says. The second Woodstock I went to, and there was more people there, and I think more people with no, the year I went was still very Harley. A lot of people were very much Harley people and 30 bananas a day people. That was the tone for sure. The first time I went to Woodstock. So that community was very much impacted by the 30 bananas a day forum. A whole load of people that are of my generation of this information are 30 bananas a day people. And yes, 80-10-10 people. But it was a good alliance. You had Doug, you had Harley and Freely, you had Christina, you had Michael Arnstein, you had a whole bunch of people really coming across great. And loads of other people, by the way. Loads of other people that were following suit. Loads of other copycats. And I don't mean that in a bad way, just loads of people that were following and saying everything that Harley was saying and wearing the vegan t-shirt that Harley wore and all that stuff. So that was a real strong and mostly positive movement. But the 30 bananas a day forum was funny. They would kick people off an awful lot. They kicked loads of people off and just didn't let people post and stuff. They were very restrictive. So it was a bit funny, but anyway, that kind of all came crashing down when Harley and Freely stopped eating raw food diet, right? So they stopped doing raw foods, and then the Woodstock, and they were very public about it, and then Woodstock sort of put out a thing saying that they were going to not be pioneers anymore, they were going to be special guests or something. And there's probably more to this whole story, but there's meant to be some vote of the committee of pioneers, and supposedly they all And I think at the time I really felt like, yeah, they're not following in line with what the pioneers are meant to do. The pioneers of the Woodstock Festival were the original speakers and people at the event, and they were all meant to be in 100% raw diet and believe that that was the best at all times for everyone. That was some of the pioneers sort of things. Now Harley and Freely were sort of like, there's a whole bunch of people in the pioneers list that don't eat 100% raw diet. Arnold Kaufman being one, and probably Tony Wright, who was a pioneer. God knows what Tony Wright eats or did eat. Um, who else would have been in that list of the pioneers? I mean, probably a lot of them were 100% raw, but like there was definitely some that probably weren't. And eventually Mike stopped eating 100% raw diet and all that. So that whole thing kind of fell apart a little bit. But I want to talk to you about, and so that movement and the 80-10-10 movement has never, to me, never been the same since. Never been the same since. It never grew. It's probably, and what the funny thing is, what's happened is the fruit-based idea of a fruit-based diet has continued to grow and get out there to more people. I believe it really has. More people are eating more fruit than ever. But they don't call it 80-10-10. They don't think it's anything to do with Harley and Freely and 30 bananas a day. And, you know, that's interesting to me. A lot of people don't really credit 80-10-10 and Doug. And I think that's funny. I think it's interesting. Because if you're eating a high fruit diet, that's because of Doug. Or at least because of his information. End of story, full stop. The only people that can claim they're doing it without Doug is some fruitarian people like Ann Osborne. There ain't really that many people like that who were eating a high fruit diet prior to 80-10-10. A proper high fruit diet. So if you've ever had like 7 bananas in a smoothie or 8 bananas, like that comes from Doug Graham. Doug Graham's information, whether you like it or not. Now some of the other raw food people, they sort of claim, like Don Bennett kind of claims to have been high fruit and all that and figured it out, and maybe Lauren Lawton. I don't know. I think a lot of these people were influenced by Doug more than they want to let on. A lot more than they want to let on, but that's just my sort of thoughts on it. Now, I want to tell you something that is a bit personal in a way. Like, I am a fan of Doug's information, and I've spent time with Doug a lot and worked with Doug a lot, and I admire and like a lot about the guy, and he's been quite good to me over the years and kind to me and helpful to me and all that stuff. We work together in the festival. He has been over the years paid to be part of the festival, so there's a business relationship in a sense there. But what I've thought over the years and thought about Doug is that there was this and always and has been this 80-10-10 movement, and the potential of this 80-10-10 movement. But my sense and feeling is that Doug has never maybe really been comfortable or entirely embraced the idea of being the leader of that movement. It's kind of ironic because it is his idea and his information. And I've always thought, for years and years, I thought about a scene at the Woodstock Fruit Festival when Doug was asked to go up on stage. Well, it used to be all the pioneers were on stage at the start of the festival. They were all introduced. And if you've been at the Woodstock Festival over the last, or in the last 5 years or say, you don't realise that what they do now is really sort of the education. Like, and there's this little thing we do over the side is the education. Yeah, there's a few presenters. It used to be like, this was what this is about. The entire opening ceremony was, here are the presenters. Here are the pioneers that you have to learn from. And there's this guy, and we all applause. And there's this guy, and we all applause. And there's this guy, and we all applause. And there's this lady, and we all applause. And it goes through about 10, 15 people. And then it's like, here's the person we've been waiting for. And everyone standing ovation, Doug Graham. That's what it was like. And there's like 500 people in the room, or whatever it was. I don't know if it was 500, but it was hundreds of people in the room. I loved that. I don't swear much, but I fucking loved the Woodstock Fruit Festival. You get me? I mean, they're on hiatus at the moment. I don't know what's happening. I fucking loved that event, man. That's why I want to have a t-shirt. I fucking loved the Woodstock Fruit Festival. It was so... Anyway, this isn't a video to talk about Woodstock. A whole bunch of you over the years, if you follow my channel, you probably heard me talk about Woodstock, and you never went. And I'm still pissed off that more people didn't go. It's like, how much do we have to all be telling you to go? Anyway, but that was the scene, and it was so exciting as someone that was caught up in this movement, which I still am, really. And Doug is there, and it's like, here's the man, the myth, the legend, and he's going to give us his presentation to start the festival. And we're really looking for the voice of a leader or something like that, you know. And he gave a speech, and it wasn't really resonating as the speech of a leader. It didn't come across as a leader speaking. And I think a lot of people actually turned off him. Because when we want a leader, we want the leader to play the role of the leader. And when they don't fulfill that role, we feel a bit funny about it. Because we want that guidance, we want that vision, we want that leadership. We want to be feeling like we're in the right ship. You know, we want to look to the ship's captain, and we want to see him going, we're going this way, guys. You know, this is the path. We want to feel that feeling. And when we don't feel that feeling, we're disappointed. And we're like, well, who is the leader? And so I always felt that none of them were really looking to step up and being the leader. That includes Harley, includes Doug, includes Mike, it includes Christina, maybe. None of them were really looking to go, listen, I'm going to take this and build this, and let's make this into something epic. Mike did his part, Harley did his part, Doug did his part, but there was a gap there to be filled where someone was going to be like, and it should have been, to me it should have been Doug, I suppose. But something I've learned about Doug over the years, I think he's a teacher and a speaker, a coach, not necessarily a leader. It's a slightly different thing. And that movement had such a potential. It still has a potential. The 80-10-10, there's so many people that have read 80-10-10, and there's so many people that do 80-10-10 to some degree or other, or at least have been influenced by it. So there's still the potential there, but it's not really there and active and together in some way. And there's been more people probably in the Robert Morse world and other groups than in 80-10-10. So what is it now? Where are we at now? What's it moved forward to? I think there's not a together raw foods movement that much. There are YouTube channels, there is online content, there are people following Instagram. So there are people following various influencers, but there's not really a unity, I think. There's not something really bringing people together like the Woodstock Fruit Festival did, like the 30 Bananas a Day Forum did. I mean, these were, especially Woodstock, this was a passion project of let's get all these people together. It was a real passion project for Mike, you know. And as someone that's ran the UK Fruit Fest, I realised at some point we don't have a movement to pull from. See, I thought that what I was doing was I'll start a festival for the movement. And what happened was I started the festival just as we were about to launch the festival, the Woodstock Fruit Festival had this falling out situation where Doug and Harley and everyone fell out. And that they've just always remained falling out. It's never come back together again. And it maybe never will. Um, and that's really sad for me. It was really sad for me for a long time. And the UK Fruit Fest would have been probably a lot different event if that movement had stayed together. If those people had been able to get together and work together and stay inspired, and maybe most importantly, if there'd been some kind of way of them all making good money. It's important. It's important. Um, and if the Woodstock Festival had just like made tremendous profit, you know, Mike would have maybe thought about it a bit differently. I don't know. So that movement has never, to me, come together, got stronger. Doug's not really made much of an effort. Doug makes an effort, but he's not really a kind of community building leader. He's a guy that likes to jump into other communities and tell everyone else they're wrong. Like he quite likes that. But I'm trying. If I've looked to Doug over the last 10 years, like what's Doug doing? He's done his some of his retreats and his water fasting, and he's happy to go on a podcast and be at events, but I don't know in what way he's building the community or building a community around him or whatever and his ideas. So a lot of the events that have popped up, fruit festival events and stuff, for the 80-10-10 movement have really struggled because the movement isn't there, or it's not together. It's not got a place for us all to gather. It's not even a forum, a proper forum. There's all these disparate different forums, but there's not like the place. There was a Facebook forum called 80-10-10 Raw Vegan Fruitarians, which Doug was never on. It had about 40,000 people on it. Doug was never on it. He probably didn't even know it existed. It got taken over by someone who decided to change the name of it to Low Fat Raw Vegans or something like that. Low Fat Raw Vegans is 80-10-10. You're not doing Low Fat Raw Vegan without Doug Rain, without 80-10-10. So Doug's underappreciated. Anyone that's doing high fruit diets, it's 80-10-10 Doug Graham related. And yeah, you might have heard about it through Freely. You might have heard about it through someone that Freely taught. But it comes back to Doug. It's one of the few things that anyone in the nutrition world can sort of go, that's that person that came up with that idea, pretty much. So where do we go now? What are we doing? I don't know, and I don't know, for me, going forward, is there a point for me continuing to do stuff for the raw foods movement? Like in these videos, I get some people saying, oh, you're a voice of reason for the community. Like, but we don't really have this community. And I've been trying to do this festival over the years. Like, where is the community? Like 12 years into this event, we don't sell out straight away. We're nowhere near that. It's like, where's the community that wants to embrace this and be part of this? So I realized I need to build a community. I need to build the community. And that we have done a bit of that in the Fruit Festival. We have, to some degree, built a bit of online community and all that, but not enough, not big enough and everything for the festival to thrive in that way. So I'll probably be doing my own community, but I'm not even sure if I want to make it a raw foods community, because I really want to get this information out to new people. I want to get out to new people, to the public, to the people who've never done this before. I want to get out to new people, to the people that are suffering, who really need this. I don't want to, I'm not looking to just help people who are 100% raw, but they have steamed vegetables now and again. Oh, can you help me go 100% raw? It's like, okay, I guess so, but who's that helping? I want to go to people that are like sick and fat and unhealthy right now and get them started. Because there's millions of those people. This information needs to get to millions of people, not just a handful or whatever. And the problem with all these raw food leaders is they're all trying to make their point and be the right. I'm right in the raw foods thing. There isn't really a raw foods community. Like you're trying to win in some thing that's not there anymore or isn't really there right now. It's vaguely there, but it's not together. Like it's not, you know. So who's the leader of the raw foods movement? Who's the leader? Who's the main person? Is it Shane Sterling? Is it Philly Rockestina? Is it Lauren Whiteman? Is it Robert Morse? Is it Doug Graham? Is it... Who is it? There's no real feeling that there is one person everyone's gravitating around. You might say, well, that's a good thing. But there should be someone. There should be some... I don't know who it is. I'd be happy to find out. But it's just all different people doing their own thing, and it's a bit boring, isn't it? So anyway, if I'm going to do my own thing, I guess I should do my own thing. Stop doing this thing. My festival has been trying to like get the raw foods community together to some degree. Do something for the UK raw foods group. And the truth is, they've kind of went, that's what I feel like. I've put on like this fantastic event over the last 12 years, 11 years for raw food people. And they've kind of went like that to me. That's what it feels like. And so really what happened with the UK Fruit Fest is we've more than half the event is people that are new to this completely. Never done raw foods or haven't done it much. Aren't raw vegans, aren't vegetarians, but they're exploring. They're trying something new, they want to go on a health retreat. They're not here for the raw vegan movement. You know, sadly. Because it just isn't out there. And it is kind of out there, but they're like that. We're not coming to your festival. Why would I come to your festival? I know all this stuff already. I can watch this stuff on YouTube. I don't need you. Bollocks to your festival. I'm going off to Thailand. You know, that's... I'm going to go off to Thailand. And I will be on a beach on my own with no friends. But at least I have a piece of durian. Like, that's the... I'm going to do a 5,000 and £8,000 water fasting retreat in Costa Rica. Fuck your festival. Or whatever. I'm going to do a $5,000 raw food chef training certification program in Bali. Fuck you and your festival. Fuck you and your festival. It's way fucking better than all those things. I'm going to waste my time in fucking Thailand. My God, everyone would have had such a better experience if they just went to fucking Woodstock and the UK Fruit Fest and the actual fruit festivals. This movement and everything. If only people did what they were told. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially Woodstock with Americans. The amount of Americans that never went to Woodstock and their raw food is just freaking a crime. A crime, man. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting me in some small way. The raw foods movement, I don't know what's happening with it. I don't know if it's anywhere. But I'm starting my own thing, I think. That's probably what I'm doing. Probably going to help people losing weight. That's really the thing I probably want to help with most. And maybe I won't talk about raw foods that much anymore. I just want to get people eating more fruit. Eat more fruit. That's the big message. That's the big picture message for me. Thank you for watching, for supporting. Feel free to comment and question all that below, and I'll see you in another video.